Hi there, welcome to Sunnyside Journals. I'm here today with a flip through of a junk journal I just recently finished. This is a Christmas themed junk journal and I hope you enjoy it. It's probably one of my most favorite journals. I know I keep saying that, but oh my goodness, I just loved making this journal and I'm so happy with how it turned out. So we're going to open it and go through it together, and I hope you enjoy it. I have it wrapped in a ribbon and with a little I don't know, runner, a little table runner. There we go. So a little bit about this book. This is an old book. It's very old. There was no publishing date in it, but there was a signature inside. It was a Christmas gift to someone named W.E. Connor from his father, and it was dated December 25th, 1897. So I know that this book is at least 123 years old, possibly older if he gave the book to him. Perhaps it was secondhand. It wasn't necessarily that it was published in 1897. Could have been before that. But so we know at least it's 123 years old, and it's actually in quite lovely condition given its age. So let's go through a little bit of the basic details so that you know. It's 5¼ inches wide by 7½ inches long, and it's 1½ inches thick. I've put 5 signatures into it, and it has a total of 140 pages. Everything in this book has come from repurposed sources, except for if I've needed to use ink. The glue is new. The threads that I sew the signatures with are new. And there are 2 little bulldog clips, when we get to them I'll show you, that are new, and I've aged them to look old. Otherwise, everything else I have found through my thrifted sources of thrift stores, yard sales, estate sales, antique shops, a variety of sources that I have found all the little goodies that went into Bless Us Everyone, which is what I've called it, because it's a play on what happened to the Cratchit family and what happened with their Christmases because of what happened to Ebenezer Scrooge. So what I wanted to do first was make this beautiful green book. It initially had the actual title here, and the name of the book was Thaddeus of Warsaw. So I put a book plate on it and the new title, and this actually is a brass lock plate from a doorknob, and these are antique brads as well. So they're all kind of mucky and old looking, and I think that just adds to it. I wanted it to look similar to a ledger, since Marley's business and the business where Bob Cratchit worked was a counting house. So I've added this to it. That's my handwriting. I actually use a pen and ink, a dip ink, and I added 1843 because that's the year that A Christmas Carol was published. Let's open it up and take a look inside. Oh, hold on. Let me take show you here. It has been a hidden hollowback spine, and there is also cotton lace. Oh, hold on. Cotton lace at the top and at the bottom, and also I left the cheesecloth strings hanging loose. If you don't like those, you can trim them off when this little book becomes yours. All right, so for closure, I've used ivory tea-dyed seam binding, and I've run it through the entire book. So the opening of the book is old ledger paper, and it really is old ledger paper. I found a full book of ledger paper at an antique shop in Prince Edward County, Ontario last summer. I wanted it a little grungier, so this has been tea-dyed. I think it took me 5 soakings to get it to look this old. I chose an address. There is no address given in the book A Christmas Carol for Scrooge's office, so I made up an address. we know that it was located in Cornhill, London. And there is a little, now it's a little apparently boutique area called St. Peter's Alley, but there's no addresses there. So I gave it an address. So 13 St. Peter's Alley, Cornhill, London. It actually doesn't exist. St. Peter's Alley does, but there's no addresses for St. Peter's Alley. So I created that because he needed an address. And I chose page 13 because Scrooge was having a pretty bad day that day. So I thought he wasn't being very lucky that day, but in the end, it actually turns out he was very lucky. So this is old antique ledger paper that has been antiqued more. The chapters in A Christmas Carol are actually called staves. So there are 5 staves in A Christmas Carol. So there are 5 staves in this book. And I've actually used the chapter headings from a copy of A Christmas Carol and cut it up to use here in this book. There, anything you see here like this, I have fussy cut from a Christmas book. The first chapter, I really wanted it to portray that Christmas for poor people, although it was humble, could also still be happy. But that it was still a worrisome time for a mother with a baby, perhaps. This page is from the actual book, Thaddeus of Warsaw. I've covered it up so that there's journaling space. Same with on this side, I've covered up to give more journaling space. I've included a little letter that I imagine perhaps Mrs. Cratchit's sister has sent to her from over in Canada. And I've put in it some a little extra paper for journaling on. And I again wrote this freehand with my dip pen and ink that I've actually had since high school. This little guy. All right, I've tried to use accounting paper, bills, receipts, wherever I can because of Scrooge's counting house. So this is bank reconciliation paper, some little extra journaling paper in a pocket that I created there. This ribbon running down here, it's the pale green ribbon. There's a darker one later on. This is the special one. That's actually the original 123-year-old bookmark ribbon that was in the original book. I was able to save it and I put it in there so that it got repurposed. I've added hymns from a 1921 hymn book that I have. There's a little tuck spot here with a little journaling card with little poor children that are sweeping up the stoop. More tea-dyed paper, hand stitching here. A mother watching over a sick baby. Some children coming home happily. They've cut down some trees and bushes to bring home for Christmas. Another tuck spot with some journaling space and some tea-dyed paper, ledger paper. Here's a little tuck spot with some little carolers and a ledger index card. This is the other side of the original page out of the book. Again, I've covered it up so that you can journal on it. This is Stave 2. I wanted this to look like you were looking in through a window in a church. This is a journaling card with the choir singing, and there's space on the back for journaling. And it just fits in there. The window was made from a vintage photo album that I have that has glassine. These glassine windows were already in it. There was 4 to a page, and I cut them up to make a little window out of. Here's another page from out of the book. I chose the titles on purpose. Deep are the purposes of adversity, and certainly Not only Scrooge, but Cratchits were also experiencing adversity. There's a mom and 2 children reading. This is a fussy cut out of an Edith Holden book. A little tuck spot with a receipt, and it's also a little notebook. This is a page that's out of a funeral guest book. A picture of mom and children. As you can see, there's lots of journaling space in this book. I didn't take it all up with my stuff. Some more journaling space, another page out of that check register. And that is how in the UK and certainly here in Canada, and I suspect probably Australia as well, that's how we spell checks when you write a check. CHEQUE. So there's some little journaling papers there. A little picture of some children cuddled by the fire. And in here I've made a journaling card out of a little postcard, again from Edith Holden, Christmas 1907, from one of her books. This again is another leaf out of the 1921 hymn book. So it's almost 100 years old. There's some children bringing home Christmas trees, and it says, "So full of merry music that the crisp air laughed." Over here on this side of the journal, I have added a little rag doll, and then I tried my best to sort of create a little blanket out of cheesecloth, as if a little child has cuddled up their doll to be cozy. And then there's some more journaling space. I chose the 25th for, obviously, for a reason, and some more paper for journaling on. Here's the other side of the funeral guest book. There's the Holy Family. I wanted something that looked very like it was from a church. And here's a British stamp with an angel watching down over the Holy Family. Another little card, Christ is born in Bethlehem, with a little child on it. And I've tucked that into this little tuck spot where there's a fussy cut, well, not fussy cut, I guess when you square cut it, that's not that fussy, but of kind of a sad looking church with a churchyard around it. Here's another original page out of the book that I have covered so that you can journal on it. This is old ribbon, but it's not, this green one is not the original bookmark ribbon. The other sadder looking one is. More journaling space. Here's some paper from Handel's Messiah. Stave 3, the third signature, I've devoted to Mrs. Cratchit's kitchen. So the first page is Christmas Eve and the family taking turns stirring the plum pudding. Over here I've used the recipe card file divider for puddings. That stain is not mine. That was the previous owner's. I find these at my thrift store. A little child wrapping up the plum pudding in cheesecloth to put it into the steamer. And here's some recipe cards with journaling space. Again, these aren't mine. These were somebody's recipes at some point. I find them at my little shops. I think people nowadays must scan them into their computers so that they don't have to keep the paper. And a little notebook, a little out of a book, but lots of journaling space. Over here is a picture of Mrs. Cratchit out of one of the books that I have. I love A Christmas Carol. I have several books of it. And she's proudly bringing her pudding to the table. I've added a new ribbon to this book. So that's the new ribbon, a nice clean ivory one. You're going to need it. There's 140 pages in here. Some lace down the side here that I've also hand stitched. More ledger paper. This is a leaf, and there are two of them, out of the earliest published cookbook in Canada called The Cook Not Mad, and it was published in 1831. This is a reprint of it, but it was reprinted exactly as it was initially published in 1831. So I chose Christmassy recipes to include. More ledger paper. How to keep green peas till Christmas. In case you were wondering, you don't have to use your freezer, I guess. Some more recipes. How to roast potatoes. A little vintage Christmas tag, and I added a wonderful pudding to it. And then here is the corner from a square I cut out of a calendar. It was actually a 1980s calendar. And it says Christmas Day on it. Another order form that I used to cover up the print. This is another original page out of the actual book. I liked the red that was on it, so I saved that. This is a little sticker that I found I found a child's sticker album from the 1940s. I believe it was Danish or Swedish. I should remember now because a very kind subscriber told me where it was from, and now I'm going to have to go back and look. And here's a woman busy in the kitchen, cooking up the feast for the meal. A butter churn, and it says, always thankful for what they had. All these word snippets have been cut either from A Christmas Carol, or else they've also been cut out of Little House in the Big Woods. Here's another quote from a regular Christmas book that says, may the hungry be fed, may the weary find rest, and may all enjoy heaven's peace. Here in Stave 4, it gets a little happier, don't worry. It does, I still find joy in these pages, but it does get much happier because that's the way it works in A Christmas Carol too, right? It's a little happier by the end. There's some children going out to wassailing. I've used receipt forms to cover up the pages once again. This chapter that I took out of the original book is called The Kindredship of Minds, and then there's some children having a snowball fight. And here again, a word snippet that says, lovingly held his little hand. And of course, that's Bob Cratchit with Tiny Tim. Some more music from Handel's Messiah. I included it. I did my best to include it from the bottom of the page where it actually says that. Here's a little journaling card of some children making a snowman. And I used a paper measuring tape to make the tag. The other side of the check register with a bit of holly. This side has some children playing in the snow and making snowmen. And then here is one of those clips I was telling you about. It looks old, but it's actually new. I've aged it to look old, and then I added a little bit of lace to it. I made a little journaling book with various offcuts from the papers that I used to make this book. So I've just included it here, and I also included the words love and appreciate. So you can clip that wherever you want, or use this clip for whatever you want. I've just happened to do that. And then Stave 5, or the 5th signature, Christmas is wonderful. The Cratchits are doing well. Marley's soul is saved, and things are going a little bit better for everyone. So I thought this paper was quite Victorian. They didn't necessarily celebrate Christmas with poinsettias yet in that time, but if they could save roses, they did. So I just thought that was, those reds and golds were beautiful for for the cover of Stave 5. So inside Stave 5, I've made a little journaling tag with some children. A much happier Christmas happening there, and that's space to journal on. I stenciled here. I wanted it to kind of look like wallpaper. Let me bring that up closer. Over here, there's some children playing in the snow. And then here I have included, this is an actual antique postcard. This is the real deal. And it says on the back, "From Ethel, with love to all, Happy New Year." And I don't know who that was that wrote that. I mean, it was Ethel. And it was to all, I guess. I just thought it was lovely. It's got a little robin there, and a little church, and some holly, and the little house. I just think it's absolutely beautiful. So that's actually an actual antique Victorian postcard. The chapter that I chose to put in the 5th stave is titled "The Spirit of Peace." And this is an old sticker from that album again. This is from the 1940s, as best as my research would let me know. And I thought I had to use this hymn for the final stave, because that's one of the happiest ones I know of. This is a page from a reprint of a toy catalog. So I figured there were going to be quite a few Christmases where the Cratchits actually finally started getting some toys from a catalog. Oh, here we go. Here's a fussy cut of a tin horse. I did some more stenciling here, and I have a really cool oil-based marker. So first I stenciled it, and then I went in with the gold and just embellished it a little bit. I wanted to try and make it look like either a poinsettia or a rose. It's red. I thought it looked pretty. And here is some pages from out of a guest book. And here's a picture of Scrooge, and he's doing much better now. His night got better, thank goodness, for everyone. Bit more stenciling here, but I hopefully I did it light enough that you can continue to write over top of it. Here's another one of those stickers from that 1940s album that I found on the side of the toys catalog page. And of course, you can't have Christmas without this fella showing up somewhere. So I didn't want him to overtake this book. I didn't think that Santa was the message of A Christmas Carol, but I couldn't not include Father Christmas. So he's there, and I imagined Mrs. Cratchit perhaps writing to her sister to tell her what a wonderful Christmas they ended up having after all. This is the other side of the original page out of the book. And a little fireplace looking very glorious. I had to fit this tree in somewhere. I've been saving this tree. Every once in a while I find fussy cuts out of books that I just put aside, and I know it's going to go into a special book, and that went there. It's just such a beautiful Victorian tree. So that's there. Here's another, the stenciling. I made let me move all these. I made a library pocket out of the original first page of the original book. So although that looks a little out of place, it really is a tribute and a thank you to the book for its service of donating itself to become a Christmas journal. So Thaddeus of Warsaw is on the book, on the library pocket. And I did put a little Christmas bird on it, and the author was Miss Jane Porter. I love that her name is Miss Jane Porter, not just Jane Porter. If you don't like that, I've only glued it on 2 sides. It is removable. I think it looks charming. I've included a few little extra recipe cards. C for Cratchit. And again, they're doing much better now. I think they always had happy Christmases, but now their Christmas is a little bit less stressful. This is a a scan of my great-great-grandmother's bookmark out of her Bible. So this is, I believe, from the 1840s as well, 1845. Not this one. I have the original one, and that's staying here. Here is the original salutation dedication from the first page of the book, where it says December 25th, 1897. So I've put it onto just a little card, again, just to give it a little bit of a tribute, to thank it for its service of becoming a Christmas journal for us. So I tucked it in there for you. And then I also included the word snippet there that says joy. On the back page, I've made another window, and I've imagined that this is little tiny Tim looking a whole lot healthier. Maybe this is the following Christmas, and he's been eating nourishing food, and he's seen a doctor, and he's just doing so much better now. So, and I've made that, I used an index card and I made it into a journaling card. And then this is from an antique photo album that I have. I only have a few pages of it. So, and I just thought that turned out so pretty. Here's another journaling card. Again, I imagined that the Cratchits perhaps were able to buy a nicer home, their own home, and buy it with Bob's new increase in salary. Over here, I imagined that perhaps Mrs. Cratchit was going to write back to her sister in Canada. So, and fortunately, it's very fortuitous. The Cratchits have the same initial as I do. So I put a wax seal on there, and there's some paper for writing on, and it's a little bit nicer quality now. It's got a watermark on it, so Mrs. Cratchit's enjoying some little nice things in life now. And you can just tuck it behind there, and that can be opened and closed as a little journaling spot. Here I have saved the publisher's name from the original book, Thaddeus of Warsaw. I put 1844 so that hopefully we know now that not only has Christmases and life in general become better, but I took a little artistic liberty, and I imagined that Scrooge took Bob on as a partner, and he changed the name from Scrooge and Marley to Scrooge and Cratchit. And of course this paper is in much nicer shape. This looks beautiful compared to what our opening page looked like. Hold on. Oh, I'm tangled up in the ribbon here. Hold on. The beginning, not so good. And the end, lovely. So that's it. That's my tribute to a Cratchit Christmas, which I have named Bless Us Everyone. So this is going to be available in my Etsy shop, hopefully this evening. It is Tuesday evening, December, oh, I'm not sure the number, I apologize. Let me tie that up. Hopefully this evening. If not, it will be available on Wednesday. Because of the closeness of Christmas, I do offer free shipping, but it's just regular shipping. So if you would like me to attempt to use expedited shipping, and you would like to pay for that yourself, I can look into that for you. Otherwise, this is going to arrive whenever it arrives. Sadly, the inspiration didn't hit me till a week and a half ago. So this book had its own time schedule. Thanks for watching, and I hope you're all having a very good evening or day or whatever time it is in your part of the world. We'll talk soon. Bye.